Hi guys, this is James from Bookworm Teaching, and today I'm just going to show you how to make a lesson using Nearpod. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm currently just uploading a presentation that I made earlier, and I'm going to go through the ways I would use to actually kind of make it a little bit more interesting for my students. Okay, so this is the first thing that you come across when you open Nearpod. You've got to click down and go onto Create, kind of go onto Google Slides, and it should open up what I've got here. Okay, so I've just imported these slides, and you can select whichever ones that you want to. You have the option to keep the original theme and stuff like that. One drawback with this is that when you import it from Google Slides, sometimes it messes up the formatting a little bit. As you can see, this is looking a little bit messy, but it's just for an example, really. But yeah, so I've got a lot of speech attached to these at the moment. Okay, so because I was doing this on PowerPoint, a really dull way of doing this is by literally sticking the video on there. So this is a really good video on inferences that I found. So to make it a little bit more interesting, to make sure that's playing on everyone's devices, what I do is I go onto Add-ons, Nearpod, and open up Nearpod. Now I only use about 2 or 3 different add-ons really. In my teaching, I'm an English teacher, and I don't know if it's because I lack the creativity or anything, but I kind of fell in love with these few different add-ons. And I'll just use them just to kind of break up my teaching so that it's not always the same thing. Okay, so when you open up the videos, you're going to have their video library, which is pretty good. It's quite like ClickView, and it's just got a lot of different options, a lot of stuff that are like appropriate for schools and things like that. Personally, I like to go onto YouTube. You find that the search here isn't as powerful as the actual YouTube search. So sometimes I just go onto YouTube and copy and paste it. This is one I did on inferences, and a great thing about this, just like ClickView, is that you can open up your questions, have multiple choice or open-ended question. So I'm just literally going to write. I did this already for my students. In your own words, tell me what some summary is. There you go, brilliant. Okay, save. Yeah, one thing I noticed is that sometimes when I was first doing this, I kept forgetting how to click save. Yeah, really silly. But yeah, so as soon as you're done, guys, you just click save and go to Nearpod, and this will present you with all your different lessons that you can do. But yeah, I always find that I have to delete a lot of different slides when I'm changing these things. Okay, so I've got my video straight away, and I've got some of my tasks now. This was actually first I did it on Nearpod, and then I had to put it onto PowerPoint when I was teaching it for another lesson. Okay, so I'm just going to show you how I did this originally. This was a gap fill activity, which is over here, fill in the blanks. Sorry, I called it a gap fill. But yeah, like I said, guys, I only really stick to the few kind of staples, staple ones that I would use. But yeah, a good thing about this is you don't actually have to do you don't have to do a gap fill. It'll literally just become a drag and drop. So this one I did for my students. We're trying to develop their vocabulary a little bit. So I said another word for good is fantastic. You could also use the word amazing, and it would basically mean the same thing. When talking about warmth, you could say something is scorching. And when talking about the cold, you could say it is frigid or icy. So yeah, I was just trying to get my students to think about other words to use. frigid or icy. A good thing about this is if you're a dyslexic teacher like myself, and you're doing it, you kind of doing it really quite quickly. There is a spell checker, so it's not that brutal. Saying that, I have made a few errors on a couple of mine, and my students have been nice enough just to pick it up. Okay, but yeah, that's something I do. I pretend that I did it deliberately, so they can pick it up like that icy there. Okay, but just and then you just highlight the words that you want the students to use. A drawback of this is sometimes they want you to do it in the exact order, so you've got to kind of don't do an example like I did. Do it more for kind of question and answer format, and you'll be absolutely fine. But I taught this the other day to a new class, and they just got transferred over to me, and they says, "Wow, this is actually a lot nicer," because they just had the teacher talking at them. I don't know what your situation is, guys, but we've been basically forced now to teach only online. Okay, I can't physically go in and see any of my students. Haven't actually physically met any of them. So I've really come to rely on this, and I've found that it really kind of takes away any kind of nerves that I was experiencing and stuff beforehand. Even if you have that initial nerves, I find that these little activities just gives you a little bit of breathing space, just to kind of relax and not kind of worry too much. Okay. Another one that I use really well is that I think works really well is the collaborative board. But it really depends on you as a teacher, what subject you're teaching and what style of teaching you have. I mean, if you can do the draw it thing in a normal academic subjects like English, then that is amazing. Yeah. So I usually do this for debates, but I'm just going to put, a silly thing like this. What did you learn in today's lesson? It's a little bit of a recap. Good thing about this is that you can experiment a lot with the styles. You can also copy any kind of image in there, and yeah, just make it unique to yourself, really. I found that students like it when you go a little bit original with some of your design ideas. Okay, so those are the main things I use. I have found that the PDF viewer is pretty good, and also the open-ended questions are really good for checking progress. The quiz looks nice, so does the poll, and so does the time to climb. That's when it's great for differentiation and for building up students' knowledge and really developing them up through kind of blooms and stuff. But I tend to kind of prefer Kahoot, like a lot of teachers. Okay, so you just go save and go to Nearpod. I'm just going to kind of show you, what it's like when the students actually see this for the first time. One drawback is that it can take a few minutes to, well, not really a few minutes. It's only a few seconds, but when you're on a deadline and stuff, it can be quite irritating. A great thing about Nearpod though is they do actually give you loads and loads of space on your free account. I think I'd made about 20 lessons before they'd actually started to say, okay, you need to delete some stuff or get a premium account. Okay, so these are some that I've done previously. Oh, good. Okay, so that's my lesson there, looking really beautiful. I'd obviously do a lot more work on it here. Now, just to kind of preview it, I'll show you what this looks like. Just so you can kind of see, this is so you can see what it would actually look like from the student's point of view. So here's their video. So my advice would be to mute your microphone if you're delivering this online, and then as it plays, it's going to play on all the devices. Yeah, so as soon as you click play, it's playing on theirs as well. Then it's going to come up with the question. They're going to have an opportunity to answer it. It's really good. Yeah, and then you've got your drag and drop thing. So there you go. I'll put you do things like put the wrong words in. So yeah, I'm just going to put a few of the wrong words. When talking about warmth, you could say, okay. Talking about cold, you could say, yeah. So just say done, and oh look, damn it, I did terrible. Okay, but they do actually give you like feedback really quick. But yeah, okay, yeah, and then the students will have like a collaboration board. So that's generally how the students are going to be going to be seeing it. When you yourself are actually doing it, you'll probably click live participation. The drawback of this is that sometimes students can get a little bit frustrated with you kind of clicking through at the pace of the slowest learner. So I'd recommend putting a lot of extension activities and stuff in where you can. Great thing about this is that literally you can just click things like I click link and I copy this into my Google Classroom. Then the students don't even have to type in the password. If that's not an option for you guys, what you could do, you should just go join.nearpod.com, copy this into whatever form of communication you've got with the students, and then get them to type in the password. But yeah, so when you're doing this, you'll be able to click and always pick all devices, unless you're doing sharing your screen. Okay. But yeah, this is how it looks from the teacher's point of view. But it's really good in terms of like monitoring the students' progress. So you've got students down the side here. It goes green when the students are actually on it and interacting, and you can see here who's done something. So say like Tom's done this amount, and it gives you a chance to kind of poke them and say, are you okay? Are you experiencing any problems with the IT or anything like that? Great thing about the collaboration board is that you can filter out the comments if you want to. I have found this causes a little bit of a delay in the technology. I tend to say no. Okay, so yeah, when students post things, it'll come up here. You can like it, or you can delete it if it's inappropriate. One thing you can also do is you can add a timer to a lot of these activities, which I think is a really useful thing to do. Okay, and the great thing is if you ever forget the code or anything like that, it's literally the top left-hand corner. It's really useful. And yeah, even when you click away from it, they'll let you resume it later. If your students are quite independent and there's the type of student who gets frustrated by going at the pace of everybody else, you can click student pace. Okay. It will mean that some of the features don't work and you might have to mess around with that, but it will give you the code, and then that will be that one student progressing through their own pace. You can physically email it to the student and say, look, I want you to do this for homework, and you'll see the activities completed. It's really good if a student misses a lesson. But yeah, guys, that's Nearpod. Yeah, that's Nearpod. I hope you've enjoyed this, and yeah, good luck with your teaching. Thanks a lot. Bye.